Yeah. I mean, we're using a special, alloy steel on the shaft of on the locking screw. There's a shaft that's threaded, it goes into the handle, right? And, in order to make those have the best lifespan and durability, we use a high carbon content alloy steel, and then they're heat treated, a special extra additional cost process. And that makes the thread life much better. It makes everything just last longer. And it's like one of those things when you initially buy something, you don't really know, how that's going to benefit you. But when you've been training on these dumbbells for 10 years, if you're using a substandard material on those parts, it's all going to wear out. It's not going to last. These are meant to last, long enough to give them to your kids when you get too old to keep training. So so there's that. We've developed a lot of our own specialized tooling for the machining and for the thread cutting and for the welding and all those kind of things. We really worked on it. I would say, today they're significantly better than they were 20 years ago when we first started. Because we've learned a lot and we keep trying to implement any new good ideas we have to improve the product, but not a lot of big changes. There's very small things that most people wouldn't notice, but I notice them, and I want to, if there's opportunities to make them better without skyrocketing the cost, that's my goal. And that's kind of always my goal with every Ironmaster product, not just the quick lock dumbbells, but specifically these. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess one thing I'd like to add there is my opinion, and I'd love to hear yours, is there's no better, I guess, factor in gym equipment quality than time on the market. I believe that there's no better, you could test prototypes, you could conduct a very thorough prototype test, but there's nothing that matches time in the field, time in the
yeah. Well, you learn so much, when you make fitness equipment. Other industries, I'm sure it's the same, but
yeah,
when you first start, I mean, I've never put out a new design product in the market in the last 21 years that I didn't find out something that we could have done better, and then we learned a little bit from practical experience. You can do all the 3D modeling you want, and you can do the market research and you can give it your best shot. But I guarantee 100% of the time, no matter who it is, you're gonna discover things you didn't realize could be that were going to be an issue, that some part that could get some wear on it, some ergonomic issue from a customer feedback, that you get, and all that kind of stuff is something you just can't learn unless you have time in the market and pay attention to what's going on in the market too, and then the longer you do it, the better off you're going to be. When you see a new car that comes on the market and you want to buy the very first model year, that's usually a bad idea. Because, there's going to be bugs that haven't gotten worked out yet, and so you want to wait till that vehicle's been on the market for a few years, right? And I think everybody kind of generally agrees with that concept. Well, the same thing applies to fitness equipment. We just have longer life cycles of product. We don't change the design every few years, cars, but it's the same concept. It just takes time and it takes experience, to figure out how to do things really well. And so the companies that like Ironmaster that have been around a long time, that I think that there's a lot of, there's a lot of faith that you've earned with your customers, that you're doing the right thing and you're making the right, you're making the right decisions on quality control and for, listening to customers and considering, the right design elements that are going to make the product a good experience to train with,